nominee has finally given us a Bureau of Minority Health Affairs.
All right.
And that's important because we need that.
Yeah.
And the reason why we need that is for obvious reasons, but it's important that we start to take a good look at our health. Just a little bit of, I want to give you a timeline before we get into the movie. The movie is really good, it's funny, you know, it's informative, but just a timeline before I get into the movie. In 1960, the rate of obesity among adults was 13.3%. That's in 1960. In 2004, that rate had increased to 32.1%.
Wow.
It's a big increase, right? Okay, but that's in 2004. So now, in 2013, the rate of adults that are overweight or obese is now 2/3 of Americans. So that's like 75%.
Wow.
So what's that saying? Is 75% of us are either overweight or obese. So that's 68% of women and 64% of men. So African American women, 49.6% of us are overweight, and 37.3% of African American men are overweight. Well, no, that's about right. I mean, actually, 55% or 60% of African Americans, just period, are overweight. Okay, so I'm gonna break it down a little bit more, but just Hempstead, the village of Hempstead. So there are 53,900 people who live in just the village of Hempstead. Okay, and out of that, there's 26,000 African Americans, so just minorities alone make up about 49,000. So if there's 53,000, 49,000 are either African American or Hispanic. So that kind of makes sense, right? So 75% of those folks are overweight or obese. So that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay? So it's a lot for us to think about. So we need to start to take a look at some of our eating habits. And what's the deal with our eating habits? Why do we need to take a look at that? It's because, I'm sorry?
Health.
That's right, because what we put in our mouths has a lot to do with our health. Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, just a host of other health issues that goes along with that, hypertension. And then we also need to look at, you know, if we're eating a lot, who else is eating a lot?
Our kids.
Children.
That's right, our children, our kids. So having a Bureau of Minority Health, we're here to kind of make you aware, do some outreach, do some programs. And Ray and I, Ray Thomas, what we're going to do is we're going to do a lot of programs such as this and other programs. We're not going to build a coalition. We're not going to have some meetings and sit around with a whole bunch of people and say, okay, what are we going to do? We're just going to go out and do it. And we've been doing it since the first day. The first day Ray came, we just sat down and him and I had a meeting. And then the week after that, I was like, okay, Ray, let's go out there and do it. And one of the first things we did was we started handing out condoms to the barbershops and the beauty salons in about 5 or 6 different neighborhoods. And we said, listen, when people come and get their hair done or their hair cut,
No more STDs.
that's right. We want you to start eliminating some of the rates of STDs because the social health program part of my social health programs and minority health is I'm the director of HIV and STD.
All right.
And there's a lot of HIV and STD on Long Island, in Nassau County, in Hempstead, in Uniondale, in
Suffolk
Freeport.
County. We're the epicenter.
So Ray and I is doing a whole lot of stuff. We are doing a whole lot of stuff. Okay? So I want you to see this great movie. And after you finish the movie, we're going to have a panel discussion. And then we're going to have some great food by Benny B's on what he's done with the soul food that he's preparing. Is he's made it a little lighter for you. Because after the movie, we want to show you that, yes, great soul food can be made a little lighter.
That's right. Praise God.
That's right. Because he's out there grilling, so you might smell a little something while you're watching the movie. Okay? So, and then we're going to have a great panel discussion, I said, afterwards, and we're going to introduce the panelists afterwards and have a discussion and have some questions and some answers to your questions. Okay?
Married my pops at 17 and cooked most of his meals. Like most boys, I wanted to be just like my pops. At the dinner table, I ate whatever he ate. So I would stack up my plate with the grits and the eggs and the salt pork, and we would slice up our pork in nice little pieces and mix the grits and the eggs together and put all of the pork that we had cut up on top of the grits and the eggs, and then put it on top of our toast. That was like a typical Sunday breakfast.
And Jackson typifies that enormously, particularly in the areas where black people are predominant. And actually, Jackson is a predominantly black city, about 85%.
In our culture, especially black culture, we have a problem with eating all of the wrong foods, a lot of fried foods, a lot of grease.
Mississippi is, not only are we the fattest state, we're the poorest state. We don't exercise and don't have the dietary choices that a lot of people have. So all of that is a part of why we are called the fattest state in the union.
There you go.
If you order food before a certain time, you will be penalized. Yes.
What if you serve 200 people and then you run out?
That's a different story. 5 years ago, by me being an event planner for the city of Muskogee, I knew I had to be creative coming up with something during the Dr. Martin Luther King celebration. And I went to the internet and couldn't find where nobody was doing a competition anywhere. So I put together the Dr. Martin Luther King Soul Food Cook-Off.
Cheese and jalapenos. And the thing that stands out to me is the enthusiasm that each of the cooks has. When you walk up to the table, they just want to tell you immediately what they've done, how they did it, where some of the props came from.
This is how we survived. This is what they gave us. We had to eat this. We had to eat the pig feet. We had to eat the pig tail. We had to eat the neck bone. They wouldn't eat it. We fixed it. We seasoned it. It's good. Now they like it too.
God made Adam and Eve came from his ribs. So a woman is good, so the woman came from the ribs, so the ribs ought to be good too. You know, that's the way I see it.
It's comfort food. You know, you eat it, it makes you feel better. It must release endorphins or something that just make you feel all right.
Everything in moderation. I can eat this, but in moderation.
I don't eat anything that fart, doo-doo, pee, or scoop. There's no conversation behind that.
I have this concept called plate police, which I can't stand.
Remember the bacon? We fried the bacon in the morning and we drained the grease and put it in a can. And we didn't put it in the refrigerator.
It sat on
It's on the stove or under the cabinet, and we kept that grease until it was time to do something else with it, like put it in the greens, you know, because it had flavor, and it never spoiled. Isn't that amazing?
It is. I mean, it's absolutely. Is that healthy? I mean, like, you know.
I would think that that's not healthy. I haven't done that in years. Now you get in medicine, you hear about the heart disease and the strokes and heart attacks. Like, wow, I can't believe I was doing that. But at the time, that was what Mama taught us to do, and that's, you know, the tradition was passed down.
That's where I was taught. You know, goes from one generation to the
A lot of times the way the food is given to you, it's like large amounts, especially of the starches. So if you get a lot of sweet potatoes and yams or sweets, all those carbohydrates in too high amounts can be a problem for you.
I don't remember things being so heavily full of oil and sugar like they've become now. So I think that's where the soul food story gets a little sad. We had meals together that were fresh and that weren't packaged most of the time. So I think one of the things that has happened is that we have started going outside of ourselves.
To create the situation that we're in now, where people spend less time cooking and more time eating already prepared food and food that's fatty and salty and processed. And some of those changes we all know about. More sedentary lifestyles with television and computers, more women entering the workforce, which is a necessity, maybe always happened in the black community, but became more widespread.
I probably would have wanted to have canned food items and fast food because it just seemed like the evolution of being a modern American. When I think about the fact that 4 or 5 decades ago, this was being presented to the American public, it seemed modern. It made sense.
But what happened is if you eat it day after day, and for dinner, you know, you may not be having something so healthy, then it really becomes a problem. And that's the point that we're at now.
The problem with talking about a connection between food and nutrition is that it's a long-term thing. So it's not the food you ate this morning or last week or even this year. It's the food you have been eating every day of your life for the past 10, 12, 20 years.
So
we sort of had a kinship in that.
I have high blood pressure. I had 2 sisters that died with diabetes.
I had prostate cancer.
And then going into my aunts, we've got breast cancer all throughout there. I've had colon cancer as well.
Diabetes and high blood pressure and everything runs in my family. That was a wake-up call for me because my dad died at the age of 41.
It's almost like you eat, you get big, you go to college, you get your education, you get your diabetes, you get your high blood pressure, and you die.
One of the things that causes Black people to have the relationship to soul food and some of the unhealthy eating habits that we have is what we call a food desert. When I walk around the city of Newark where I work, it's very challenging to find healthy food. A lot of cities around the country like Brooklyn, Harlem, Detroit, Chicago, Oakland, California, that just don't have a whole lot of quality supermarkets. Most people go to bodegas or corner stores, or in some places they even go to liquor stores to get their vegetables. People just don't have access to healthy, quality, fresh produce and quality food, and it's something that has become normal to us.
Yeah, this is my little garden, my little getaway here. It's something I do every year during the spring of the year. Yeah, right here we have cayenne peppers, and I only could find one plant of those. And right here I have some banana peppers.
Why do you think it's important to be able to live off the land like this?
It's good because you know what went in the production and the growth of your plants. You know, there's not a lot of chemicals, and you know, we think this day and time that's what's causing so many diseases and ailments in our body. So I know when I do my garden, it's chemical free, and it's like I said, it's pretty much
a week. They go to the Milwaukee public schools.
I come from a legacy of growing food for people. That's how this whole thing started, by me purchasing this facility to grow food and sell it to the folks in this community. But also it has to be combined with education, because once people get into that mold of eating bad food, their first taste of really good food tastes strange to them.
My favorite vegetable is lettuce. My favorite vegetable is spinach with ketchup on it.
With ketchup on it.
When I take a look at what St. Philip's looks like and feels like, the first thing I say is it's nothing like most people's idea of a school. One of the things that makes St. Philip's Academy a unique school is our EcoSpaces program. EcoSpaces is a multidimensional program which has 2 focuses. One is sustainability and conservation, and the other is nutrition.
Here, the kids are definitely much more knowledgeable, and they concentrate more, they focus more, and they have a better diet. Overall, their appearance and who they are and how they project themselves is a lot better.
So if you had a choice between eating at Popeyes or Church's Fried Chicken or McDonald's or any other fast food restaurant, would you choose that or would you choose what you eat here? Really? Wow, that's saying a lot. Why?
Because not only the fact that it's healthier, it tastes more fresh. Like the stuff that they make, they don't really cook. They process it. It's processed food. I don't really like that stuff. I like real fresh food.
Go ahead, everything's all right. Okay, I have seared tilapia. We're gonna be doing it like this. A little sauce. We got a couple sauces here. Hold on. This is pineapple salsa with a little crunchy noodles. Okay.
No, thank you. Did you like it? Yes, it was very nice. It's corn shoots.
Corn shoots.
From the corn.
Corn shoots. Micro corn shoots.
Really appreciate you taking the time out to do that. The food was incredible, wasn't it?
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry?
The address.
Oh, the address. It's 2092 Grand Avenue, Baldwin. Yeah, you can also Google it. In the day of age of the internet, you just Google it.
James Brown Riggs, who is to the far left. And then we have Sharon E. Richards in the middle. And then we have Immacula Olegario. All right, right here to the right here. Constance is, haven't seen this movie, would you say that the behaviors that we have with our eating, are these habits, have we formed habits that we can't break? We can't break the chain of these eating habits among ourselves or the community? Has the community formed a habit of eating that is hard to break?
Change is hard. Any type of change is extremely difficult. And if I sat here and tried to make the audience feel that, you know, it's something that they can just decide to do and should be able to do without any problem, I'd be telling them a lie. Change is difficult. However, it can be done. The other thing is when we think in terms of our eating habits, it is ingrained, it's cultural, it's time we're, you know, a small child and we have our rituals and family gatherings and so on. But again, that is something that we can change, we can modify. So I'd have to say, yeah, you know, it can be changed, but it is difficult. It's not so easy. I think the film kind of showed you that as well.
Sharon, some people feel that using healthy substitutes in soul food, like smoked turkey instead of pork to flavor greens, or herbs instead of salt, changes the nature of soul food, making it less authentic or robbing us of our African American culture. How would you respond to this criticism?
They're right. It is robbing you of what you know, but like anything else, it's a choice that we make. Like Hudson said, you know, we're used to eating a certain way and change is hard, but it's not that hard. So to answer the question, yes, if that's what you're used to, getting pig feet to put in there, and that's what you're used to, that's what we do. But if you want to be more healthy or health conscious, it's not such a significant change that you cannot do it. And I've had, you know, I come from a Caribbean background and also a Southern background where we have substituted pig's feet with smoked pork, and it's really not that bad. It's not so bad where I would say, oh, I won't eat it. It's just an adjustment of your palate, and it's not a bad adjustment. So, you know, there's good adjustments and bad adjustments, because you can have something that really doesn't taste good and you're just not going to eat it.
Okay, Immacula. So traditional medicine says that, you know, we should take certain medications for, you know, certain conditions, and see our doctor, you know, every 6 months or once a year. How do you feel about, I know you talk about spiritual medicines or holistic medicines. How do we incorporate both holistic and traditional ways of health in order to try to get people to change some of the habits that we may have?
The father of medicine was Hippocrates. He said, let food be your medicine, and let medicine be your food. And Dr. Ann Wigmore, who is the founder, whose philosophy that I thought adapted to, which helped me to reverse cancer. And she said that food could be the most powerful form of medicine, or it could be the slowest form of poison as well. So food is something that we have adapted to. We come out of the womb. The first thing we get to is the breast. And it just shifted from that to the nipple, from the nipple to a pacifier. So food is comforting. Food is something that we sit around the dinner table. We enjoy company. We share something that's very we share tradition. We share our recipes. We give our recipes because we feel so proud when we make something and it makes somebody feel good. It not only makes you feel good as the host, but your guests feel so good. So there's a payoff. Everybody is getting something from it. So I think it's comforting, but there are ways that you could take baby steps. We saw the movie, you don't have to really change in one day, but taking baby steps, doing little changes, that would give you not only lengthen your life, but give you the quality of life, because getting sick is not one of the most fun things that you could have, because if you're not enjoying life, what is life to you? Because the best wealth is health. And Gandhi says, health is not a piece of gold or silver. Health is the true wealth. So I think we all can do it. It's just changing your mindset to adapting to something different. I was just sharing with you earlier that I took a course at Cornell University. It tells you that it takes 4 months for your taste buds to get the addiction, to kick the addiction. So you have to be patient with yourself. You fall off the wagon, just dust yourself and get back on a healthy track. And don't be so hard on yourself. Try again. It took me a long time to get on this journey, but the first couple of years, the first 5 years before I really made the big change, I would say every Monday I'm going to start a new diet because that was my day off. And every Monday I'm going to start something, and I did, and I started a few things, and I didn't succeed, but I persevered until I was able to sustain the change and, and adapt to it.
If I can just add, I think that's an excellent point that everyone really needs to hear and kind of focus in on. It's something that I know, patients coming into the office wrestle with all the time, and she's an excellent example of that, you start off slow. Oftentimes people think you have to make a 360-degree turn. You don't. There are some people that can do that, but you don't have to do that. So any small change that you make in the right direction is just that, a change in the right direction. And you may, relapse. You heard, I forget his name that was there, that has his hot sauce in his bag all the time, just in case fried chicken pops up, he's going to be ready for it. So, there are times when that may happen. And I just want to add one other thing. When we think about our food and our cultural food and, that we hold so near and dear to the heart, it doesn't mean you can't ever have it. The idea is that it's going to be a luxury. It's going to be something that you reserve for that very special occasion. You don't have to have red velvet cake every single day of the week or every weekend. So you save it for that very special occasion. And I always tell my patients, you're aiming for more good days than bad days. That's really what it's all about. And as I said, I love, she just shared a little bit of her story with me and how it, she did take those little steps. She stayed away from, I think it was red meat and pork. That was the first thing she eliminated from her diet. And then over time, and it was over a number of years. It wasn't over a couple of days. It was over a number of years. And then she went and she eliminated chicken and she eliminated the fish. And then she became vegan. So it's a process. It doesn't always have to happen overnight. And you're going to be much more successful when it is slow and gradual than if you do a 360-degree turn.
Okay, so you guys ready for some questions? And I always tell them the 80-20 rule. And 80% you just really try to do good, but 20% you just play with, because none of us is 100% of anything. So it's not going to happen. And if you set yourself up for failure, you're going to fail. But if you give yourself some leeway and say, okay, I'm going to do 80 or 70% well for today, and I'm going to have a small piece of this, that's okay. Until, as we're all saying, until you gradually get to a place where you're comfortable in eating that. In 2000, I have a similar story, 2009. I couldn't even get out of my car. I had huge fibroids in my back, all over, and I was like, I'm too fabulous to be this way. I can't be that way. I got to get out my car. I got to get dressed, and that's me. So my determination pulled me to a different place. You know, I went back to school and got my nutrition license. I had to learn. That's me. When I do something, I try to go 100% in. I want to know everything. And I gradually just start eating differently. Even at this size, I'm 30 pounds lighter than I was 2 years ago. Why? Because it's gradual. Prior to that, you know, to keep up how you look, you had to, you go do all these crazy things, or you take pills or whatever. You're not going to live long on that. You have to make up your mind to change your eating habits, to change your lifestyle. It's just, you just got to make up your mind, or we're not going to survive. What is the percentage of, as you said, we have 70% in hypertension, diabetes. Us, we've got the highest rate. Even though our skin looks good, I'm a licensed esthetician, we have good skin, and we're going around and saying because we have heavy melanin. It had nothing to do with our diet. We're dark. So you have to eat right. So even though you're looking fabulous on the outside, your internal body is suffering.